Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 253, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry. I've got a Fiber Nymph account on Instagram, which is my personal account, and there's also a Fiber Nymph Dyeworks account on Instagram, which is my yarn company account. So if you're interested in following along for that and seeing new things and behind the scenes things and all the things, that's a great place to go. I also have a 90% knitting group on Ravelry, which is where I usually post show notes. I apologize. I did not get the full show notes up last week. I'll try to do better this week. There's a Fiber Nymph Dyeworks group on Ravelry as well for business stuff, and that's also where the Summertime Cow is being hosted. And lastly, there's a Fiber Nymph Dyeworks page on Facebook, which is a place that I tend to post pretty much everything and anything about either the business or the podcast, so good place to start. Today's Wednesday, August 16th. I recorded last Wednesday, although it did not get posted until Thursday, I believe. Yes. Last week was my first recording from the mountain house, and I was out on our deck. Kitten is at the door. I was out on the deck last week. It was right around the same time of the morning, so I thought, okay, I'll record out there again today because that seemed to work out pretty well. Only it was very shadowy out there this morning. I could not get the lighting to be right, so I don't know what the deal was. And then over the weekend, I had recorded a shop update preview video, and I had done that from inside in our main living space, kind of like our kitchen, dining room, living room is one big space, and I was at the dining room table. The lighting was awesome in there at that point in time, but that was late afternoon. At this time of the day, it's super dark in there, so that was not an option. And so I am in the porch room today. Yes, third location inside of 2 weeks here, or inside of almost a week. This is actually the spot where I'm sitting right now. This was my spot that I had said I had the perfect place that I thought I would record when I was recording up here. And this is it. I love this little corner. This is my happy place. Well, this whole little room, this porch room is my happy place here. But I sit here in this chair in this corner to spin. Both of my wheels are here. One's on either side of me at this point in time. So this is a great chair to sit in to spin. Sometimes I'll knit here, but usually I knit from the couch, which is right across from me on the big wall. This isn't too bad lighting-wise. I was a little concerned that things would get too blown out here just because I've got 3 walls of windows around me. And it's funny because I actually started trying to record this about 20 minutes ago, and right after I started recording, the sun was coming up through these trees, and like right here, this big open spot where there's no trees, it was coming right in here, and all these sunbeams were just streaming down. It looked like there should have been a chorus of angels going, ah. Yeah, so I had to wait a little while until the sun got up higher above the trees before I could try it again. I think we're okay now. Hopefully this works. My neighbor has been running large equipment for the past 2 days, or some sort of equipment. It sounds big. That's another reason why the deck would probably have not have been a good spot to record from today, because I can hear him now. Hopefully it won't be too much of a pain for you. Anyway, hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Hopefully this recording will be a nice respite from all of the crazy and horrifying stuff that's been on the news in the last few days. I'm not going to talk about any of that specifically because this is not that kind of a podcast. I will just say that if you, like me, reach a saturation point with that kind of stuff and you can only watch it for so long and listen to it, please, please, please feel okay about stepping away from it and finding whatever form of taking care of yourself works for you. If it's just avoiding the media for a few days so that you can reset your own inner self and not be totally stressed out or anxiety-ridden or depressed, please just don't go down that rabbit hole. Don't let it do that to you. It's bad enough that all this stuff's going on, but don't let it take you down with it. Please take care of yourself. Self-care is so important. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so welcome. I'm glad you're here. I do have some very exciting things to tell you about today. At least they're exciting for me. Hopefully you will be excited too, at least for me. I don't know. But let's get started with the yarny things. So I've got some finished objects to show you, and I've got everything in a basket here to my right. Let's see, I'm going to move this so that I don't lose it. Okay. The first finished object is my yakaboo cowl, which I had been working on last week, and it's done now. I love how it turned out. But you can really see those that tiny bit of color work detail that I put in there, and that's what it is. It's not slipped stitches. I did actually do some stranding there as I was changing colors. So this is yakaboo from Still River Mill. Do I have, here's the little tag. I did save one of them. Still River Mill in Connecticut. And this is their yakaboo worsted, which I picked up 7 of these little mini skeins 2 years ago when I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool. They only come in mini skeins as far as I know, like I said last week, but it's 40% yak, 40% merino, and 20% bamboo. It's a worsted weight. I would consider it a light worsted weight, but it was very nice to work with. I really enjoyed knitting this. As I told you last week, I started with an I-cord cast on, which I had never done before, so I learned that. I ended up using an I-cord bind off, which if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen I was having some issues because what I had liked so much about this I-cord cast on was that the stockinette after it did not roll, and that was awesome. And so I thought, cool, I'll do the I-cord bind off also, and it won't roll. Only when I first did it, it did. It was rolling like crazy. So I ripped it out, and I tried it several times, like loosening my tension, tightening my tension, trying to knit the I-cord from the inside instead of from the right side. Nothing was working well. So I put a call out onto Instagram looking for ideas, like what would you guys do? Because I didn't want to do ribbing. I knew I didn't want a ribbed, top of this. And I did get some recommendations, which were all very helpful, and I appreciated them. But in the end, I really wanted the I-cord. And someone had recommended doing the I-cord, like casting it on, just doing an I-cord cast on and knitting a round or two and then grafting it to this, which totally would have worked. I just was not up for all that grafting, to tell you the truth. So I sat one evening, like on try 8 or 9 probably at that point, and I did the I-cord bind off, but I did it really, really tightly, which seemed counterintuitive. I mean, I thought it might, I don't know. I figured doing it more tightly might help the rolling, but I was afraid it was going to really pull it in. And as you can see, it has pulled it in a little bit more than the cast on. Not significantly, like maybe by, well, a ½ inch perhaps. So all told, it's probably an inch smaller. But, it's fine. And my head it still fits over my head. I'm going to totally mess up my hair for you guys. Okay, maybe I can get it over my head. Maybe I should just do the podcast like this. Anyway, yeah, so here it is. And I like it because I can go up like this, and it'll stay. It's snug enough to stay. Obviously, when it's all scrunched down like this, you don't see all the striping and the colors, and that little bit of color work detail isn't quite as evident. But that's okay, because my whole point in doing this nice long cowl like this was to have it scrunched down. I had it on for my husband the other day. He's like, "You look like a turtle." Like, okay, well, whatever. I have hair in my eye. But yeah, it's going to be really nice and warm. And that's what I was going for. So I'm happy with it. It turned out really well. I really can't complain about anything. Oh gosh, it's warm though today. Yes, that was perfect for the hair. Oh my gosh. Yeah, as I was doing my hair today with the curling iron and trying to straighten it a little bit, it was just frizzing right up again because it's humid already. So anyway, this is my yakaboo cowl. I'm really happy with it, and it used up 192 meters of yarn. that I could put in my stash dash total. So, finished object, and I'm very happy with it. The next thing I finished was a spinning project, and that was my Highland Handmaid's Targhee, the rainbow Targhee. I've finished it. I am so happy with this spinning project. I'm going to show you all of them. Aren't they happy? This is so cool. So this was the one that I did even before Stash Dash started. This was the red and the orange plied together. And then I had a little bit of orange left, so once I had spun up the singles of the yellow, I applied the remaining orange to the first bit of yellow. That is kind of blown out, but that's what it is. So then I spun the green, and I applied the rest of the yellow, the bulk of the yellow, to most of the green. Had a little bit of green left over, so I applied the rest of the green to the first bit of the blue. And then finally I spun the purple, and I applied the blue to the purple, and I have to say this is my favorite skein out of all of them. And when I was done, I had, here, this is all the purple I had left on the bobbin, so I'm not sure how I ended up, they just nearly matched. So I didn't get to do an all purple, an all purple skein at all, and I thought I was going to have yarn left over to do that. Which is fine. This is perfect. This is really exactly what I wanted. So I'm happy with this. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I'm honestly very tempted just to knit this into a cowl. I can't remember. Oh, yes, I can because I have it written here. I ended up in total with 802 meters for this whole project, not counting this red one. The red one probably had like another 152 or something, I think. 130 some meters, but I'm not counting that one towards my Stash Dash because this was completely done before Stash Dash even started. And even though technically I think I could include it since it's part of this whole spinning project, I'm not. I don't feel right about doing that. So this one's not included, but I love this project. I can't wait to see what it becomes. None of this has been soaked yet, so that's still to come, but yeah, so that's done. So that added another 802 meters to my Stash Dash total. Yay! Okay, so then I have a hoe, and I even have a sock blocker for my hoe this week. It's the first Mountain House Summer Shorty Sock, and this is the one I showed you a while back that I had done the German short row heel that Mina, the Knitting Expat podcast, does. I'm not happy with the heel only because it is definitely too shallow. I always knit a good bit of cuff on a shorty sock, like at least an inch. Like I'll usually do an inch of ribbing, then an inch of stockinette, and then I'll go into my heel. But since I had already started this striped part just as a sample to show the striping pattern in the shop, it only has like 3 rounds of ribbing. There's not very much ribbing. But I did the whole striped part of the cuff just in stockinette. So there's plenty of stockinette there. That's not the issue. The issue is that the heel is just too shallow. So I'm doing the second one, and I'm going to do it the same way. I mean, I can wear this. It's fine. It's not like coming off my foot or anything. But I did cast the second one on, and I'm almost done with yarn everywhere. I'm almost done with the cuff, and then I'll join it to the green and do the short row heel again. And like I said, I'm going to just do it the same way because I want the socks to match. I think it might feel funny if I modified the second one. But the next time I'm doing a pair of socks that I'm going to do the German short row heel, I'm going to do the mini heel flap adjustment that Mina also has. I'm going to try that and see if that makes a difference. I think it probably will. But anyway, that's done. So I have that as a hoe, which I can count for Stash Dash. And that gave me 88 meters because it's a shorty sock. So at that point, well, let's see. Last week, when I talked to you, I've got my spreadsheet all printed out here. Last week when I was recording, I needed 1,064 meters yet to finish. By the time I finished the cowl and the rainbow Targhee and that mini sock, I think I was down to, I don't remember what I was down to needing. About 500, a little under 500 meters yet for Stash Dash. And so at that point, I decided I was just going to spin my way through the rest of my meterage for Stash Dash, and that's what I did. So the first thing I spun was well, one of the benefits to having just moved my entire stash is I know exactly what's in it. And I had a lot of just random bits of fiber that I've dyed. Like if I have leftover dye, you know, when I'm doing a dye session, sometimes I'll just soak some fiber and throw that dye on there. It's not a colorway. I usually don't even put it in the shop because it's usually, I use like small bits of fiber because sometimes when I get fiber from my supplier and I'm splitting it up, I end up with little hunks, and that's what I had. I had these little hunks of BFL that I dyed into this just green and brown and gray kind of color. It's a BFL, so I spun that. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed spinning it. It's not the most exciting color in the world, but it was 284 meters. And actually, you know what? I'm telling you this in the wrong order. This is not the first thing I spun. The first thing I spun was this. I'm going to do this in order. Because this I actually found in my desk, my hutch. I realized I had the first half of this yarn in singles already. I had a bobbin of it. And these are Knitting Keller Bitty Bats. It was this really vibrant pink and orange and yellow. Bitty Bat. Do I have the card here? Yeah. Knitting Color. There's her card. These were Bitty Batties. It said 1.8 ounces, and these contained Angelina, Bamboo, Falkland, Firestar, Merino, and Silk. So since I had one bobbin already, I figured I'll just spin up the other two Bitty Batties for the other bobbin and ply them, and that's what I did. So this is a 2-ply. I ended up with 284 meters of singles. This was not a super enjoyable spin, only because all of the Firestar and Angelina, I'm not sure which is which, to tell you the truth, because there's a lot of sparkly stuff in this. One of them is coarser than the other, though. And then there was also like big chunks of bamboo that I had to kind of try to separate out. But yeah, some of it got a little wiry because there were some spots where it was like nothing but the Firestar or the Angelina. So I was trying to mix that in with the fiber. I mean, it's fine. And now that it's spun, it's pretty soft. I don't know what I will ever use this for. I mean, it's pretty, but with all of that stuff in it, I mean, I like sparkly things, but I don't know. But hey, it gave me 284 meters, which was kind of ironic because that's also what I ended up with for this. So yeah, it was 284 meters of singles. So I was fine with that because it was a finished spinning project that apparently had been taking up one of my bobbins that I'd forgotten about. And so then at that point, I needed less than 200 meters. And that's when I spun this. And that's what I ended up with, 284 meters again on this. And that put me over my 10K. I did it. I did the 10K, and you have no idea how happy I was because when I was doing the math and I put it in my spreadsheet, I'm like, yes! I was doing the happy dance in my office. I was so thrilled. And I know it seems super silly. It really does, because it's a completely arbitrary kind of thing. You know, you're competing with yourself. And I have no idea why. I've said this before. I have no idea why Stash Dash motivates me as much as it does. But it does. And so I'm good with that because I accomplished a ton this summer. And I'm going to actually go through this with you. If you don't want to watch, then just look at the timestamp menu and I'll put in when the next segment starts because I do have some more works in progress to show you. But yeah, okay, so this is my list. I ended up with a total of 36 projects that I worked on throughout the course of Stash Dash. I had started out with 19 projects on my original list. So when I first talked about it back at the end of May, 19 projects. I added 17 more projects over the course of the summer, and I finished 30. So that's 30 that were either something started and I finished it, or something that I started completely during Stash Dash. So it was either a work in progress that I finished or a brand new project that I also started and finished. 14 of my original 19 projects did get finished, and 16 of the 17 new additions got finished. I am so impressed with myself. You have no idea, because this has been a busy summer, and yet I managed to do this. So all told, I finished 2 shawls. So I finished my Find Your Fade, and I finished that garter bias wrap. So that's 2 works in progress that I finished. I knit 4 hats. I had that random striped hat that was almost finished when it started, so I finished that. I finished my Busta beanie. I knit a barley hat from the beginning, and that orange and yellow leftover yarn hat that I did the color work I showed you I think last week. That was a new cast on. So I did 4 hats. Socks. I was so confused last week when I was trying to tell you how many full pairs versus half pairs of socks I finished. I did actually finish 8 pairs of socks during Stash Dash. All of those 8 pairs though had at least 1 sock, well obviously 1 sock that was done, or 1 sock that was done plus the second was cast on already. But I did end up with 8 full pairs of socks at the end. So the Mountain House socks I finished, the Never Not Color socks I finished, those Pat & Croix socks, the purple ones, I finished those. Emma's birthday socks, which were my Skittles colorway, I finished those. I finished my A Little Less Whimsy socks, as well as my Whimsy socks, which had been languishing for years. I'm not exaggerating. Those both got finished. My Edible Petal Pie socks, those were a new cast on, and I finished them. And the Pixel Fall socks, I finished those. So those were all finished. So 8 pairs of socks. 8 pairs of socks. That's crazy. 8 pairs of socks. And only 1 pair is for somebody else. And then I did have 4 half pairs of socks. So 4 hose that I did. And that was the Margarita Swirl socks, the Autumn Leaves sock blank socks, the Mountain House Summer Shorty sock. Oh wait, maybe it was 5 hose. The Hoodwink sock and the Splash Pad Parfait socks. Oh, so it was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Huh, interesting. Okay, I miscounted. So 5 half pairs of socks. Although the shorty sock doesn't really count as a full, I mean, it's a half of that pair, but you know, it's not a full sock. I did 4 cowls. Actually, I did 7 if you want to count like my outdoorsy samples that I did, since that counts as both a neck warmer cowl kind of thing and a headband. I did 3 of those, but I kind of counted them all as one project. But otherwise, I did my Takushcha cowl, which is a sample I use for my shows, and my big squishy rib thing. I did that, and that was a new cast on. The Takushcha had already been started. Oh no, it hadn't. I had just had it on deck. So that was actually a new project that I started and finished. The big squishy thing, that was also new and finished. And then the Yakaboo cowl was new and finished. And then those outdoorsies. I did 1 pair of mitts, which were new. I did 1 scarf, which was that furry blue scarf thing, the furry scarfie. And then all of the rest of my meterage came from spinning, which I spun a total of 2,420 meters new. That's pretty cool. And then my Granny Stripes blanket, which that's the only thing that I do not have to put a picture in on my official Stash Dash entry in the Knit Girls group, because I apparently left it at my house last time I was there. So when I go there tomorrow, I have to grab it so I can take my final picture and put my final, weight so that I can calculate the end meterage. So I might actually have a little bit more meterage than what I have here if I've worked on that since the last time I updated this. But still, that's so much, and I am so excited, and that puts me over by 132 meters, by the way. My final total was 10,132. Pending my weighing the Granny Stripes blanket again, it might be a little bit more than that. Anyway, I'm really happy with my summer, my Stash Dash total. I did a lot this summer. I'm thrilled with it, and I'm looking forward to next year. And I'll do 10K again next year. I'm not going to raise the bar. especially since I did not intend to raise the bar quite so high this year, but I did accidentally, and it worked out. I did it. Again, I don't know why that excites me so much, but it does. So anyway, I'll now stop talking about Stash Dash, because if you have no interest in it, I guess this has been a little bit annoying, but you know, it's been a thing, and I know a lot of people are enjoying it, so both mine and their own progress. So, all right, I do have a couple of other works in progress to talk to you about. First of all, I have another knitting project that I cast on this week. When I realized that I was definitely going to make Stash Dash, I decided to cast something new on because I knew I would not need this meterage. And the pattern that I cast on is the Close to You scarf or wrap. I don't have a picture of it actually to show you. I only printed out the instruction part, but it's by Justina Lorkowska, and it's called Close to You. It's an asymmetrical cowl. Or not cow. Boy, now I've got cows on the brain. Cowls as opposed to cows. It's an asymmetrical shawlette. It's small. It only uses one skein of a fingering weight yarn. So here's what I have so far. It's super fun. I really am enjoying this knit. I'm not sure what the best way is to show this to you though. Here, maybe like this. Yeah, so it's got these little points that you're binding off to make, and then it's got these eyelets, and the way you increase is creating this very nice swoop in the garter stitch part. It's a really easily memorized pattern. Like after I did the first repeat of it, I pretty much had it down, so it's nice because I can just sit and work on it without having to refer to the instructions. So let me see if I can get the yarn. There we go. It's less blown out. This yarn that I'm using is actually, I dyed this, but it's a skein of a base that I don't dye for the shop yet. I may. I got a single skein just to test it out. And it is a 50-50 superwash merino and cotton blend. I've never done a cotton blend before. Now my neighbor is running the chainsaw. Anyway, I've never dyed a cotton blend before. And it dyed, well, if you look at these colors, this was some leftover dye I had. And these were the colors that I used to dye those bright, happy sock blanks, the big resist sock blanks that I had in the update on Monday. That was those colors. So those were very bright colors. And this is how they turned out on the cotton blend. So it's really pretty much just like any other cellulose blend with a wool. Like when I do, I'm trying to think, like wool bamboo, like a bamboo blend, because the bamboo is cellulose and it does not take the dyes that I use for wool. And so it may take it like a very pale amount, but it definitely mutes the colors. And it's really a pretty effect. This kind of ends up to be a little pastel-y looking, obviously. So, I like it, and I really am enjoying knitting with it. That was more my concern. I kind of had an idea of how it was probably going to dye up, but I wanted to see how it knit. It is a little bit splitty, being, you know, having the cotton in it. It's a 4-ply, I believe. Yes, it's a 4-ply. I'm using Chaigu needles, so they're super pointy, and that's actually working out pretty well. I haven't had too much of a problem with it splitting much on me. There's only one place, let me see if I can find it right here. I had a split that I apparently didn't see. Well, I didn't see it until after I'd gone a couple rows, and if you can see right, can you see right there? I've got this one strand that got split and then picked up like 2 rows above or something, or it's probably just from the knit 2 together, the way it is. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, because that's like really visible to me in person. I'm tempted to just snip it off, but then that means I'm snipping a ply, and I'm not sure what that would do. I mean, it could come loose. The rest of the ply could come loose in that spot, but that's going to bug me having that little loopy thing there. So I don't know. Otherwise, it's coming along nicely. I really am enjoying it. Again, it's a very fun pattern, easy to memorize the pattern, and it's going along quite quickly because I've been working on it a lot. So that's my one cast on. The only other thing I did was I started spinning more because since I was kind of heavy into the spinning there at the end of my Stash Dash run, and I had pulled out some more fiber because I wasn't sure how much I was going to need. I had this other braid sitting here, and it's this. This is more BFL. Again, this was just a little braid of BFL that I had dyed in leftover colors, leftover dyes. This is only half of the braid, actually. But I love these colors. They're quite autumnal and warm. So I spun the first half of it already. So here's the bobbin with the first half. I have to tell you, I absolutely love spinning BFL. It is probably my favorite fiber to spin. And I know that's kind of funny because some people are like, BFL, you know, because it's often the first fiber people learn to spin with because it's nice and crimpy and it's got a nice staple length for newbie spinners. It doesn't slip the way merino does. It's just a very nice fiber to spin for a new spinner. And so I think a lot of people start with BFL and then they kind of get tired of it and want to move on to other things, which I can understand. But honestly, I love spinning BFL. It's got a really pretty luster to it. And the crimp it just makes a nice bouncy, pretty yarn. So I'm enjoying it. This particular braid though had really been knocked around in my stash for quite a while. So it's got a lot of just neps in it from being roughhoused. So I've been picking a lot of neps out of it. But anyway, it's a fun spin. I know I probably should get back to my blue BFL, but I'm absolutely in no hurry to do that. Eventually I will. But yeah, I'm enjoying spinning some other stuff for right now. So those are all of my works in progress and finished objects and such. It's been a good week. So let's move on to the knit along. I'm trying to get my show notes to update here. The year in the life of a knitter knit along. All of the July prize winners have finally contacted me, so we're good there. We're still in the summer quarter, August. Our August challenge is the Almost Anything Goes challenge, and I think I answered that last question about that last time. So this will be going on through the end of August. I will be away on vacation next week, so I won't be recording next week, and by the time I return, I think the end of the month is still like several days away. Yeah, because Thursday's the 31st, or the 31st is a Thursday. So I'll probably record one more time before August is over. I'll record that first week when I get back. So I won't be announcing the August prize winners until the first week of September sometime. So there will be a little bit of a gap. But September is the final month in our summer quarter, which I know that seems weird because summer, you know, fall starts in September, but just the way the year worked out, how we divided it up for this knit along, it still counts as our September. So we'll call it Indian summer. You can start, you know, feeling the fall vibes, but it's still going to be part of our summer quarter. Our focus for September, just to give you the heads up, is going to be slipped stitches. So we had stockinette and this month's garter stitch, so next month will be slipped stitches. And our September challenge, if you want a heads up on that, is going to be shortcuts. Basically, your project has to incorporate some kind of shortcut in the making of it. So this isn't really something that you're going to see in the project itself, probably, at least not so much. It just needs to be a process thing. In your making of your project, you need to use some sort of knitting or crocheting or spinning shortcut or sewing shortcut or weaving shortcut that you consider a shortcut in your process. Not necessarily something that diminishes the quality of the process or the finished object, but just something that you've learned over time, or maybe someone's taught you, that makes something easier or less time consuming. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. shortcuts. And so please, whenever you post your finished object picture for the September challenge, explain what your shortcut was. Basically, so number one, we know what it was and that you use one, and also we might learn something. It's a great way to share tips. So that's going to be the September challenge. As far as yardage, it's going to be a really easy one. You have to use 50 yards of yarn if it's a yarn related project. If it's a spinning related project, you have to spin at least 50 yards of yarn in its finished form, whatever that is, singles, plied, however. The finished form of the yarn has to be 50 yards. Or if you're sewing, it has to use at least a 1/4 yard of fabric. So that is for September. Something to look forward to. And really looking way out into the future, because we still have the fall quarter to go, and that will be the last quarter because we started with winter back in January. We have the fall quarter left to go, but I do know what I'm going to do for my first knit along in 2018. I'm not planning to do another year-long knit along. This has been a lot of fun, but I think doing a year-long knit along back-to-back might be a bit much. But I do have an idea for the 2018 knit along, and I think each theme will be 2 months long. So I'll tell you more about that as we get closer. But I was really excited when I came up with the idea. I thought, this will be awesome. Okay. I had a question this week in the Do You Have Any Questions thread. So let me jump over there to that and read that to you so I can answer it. This question was from Christina4635, and she asks, hi Lisa, I have a question that is a combo spinning/knitting question. I'm new to spinning and I made a really simple hat, similar to a sockhead hat, with 2-plied handspun. I know my tension is all over the place and it's thick and thin in some areas. I thought a pom-pom might finish the hat off. So my question is, can you make a pom-pom from handspun? Is it a waste of handspun? Would a certain kind of handspun work better for a pom-pom? 2-ply, chain-plied? Thanks. Okay. First of all, yes, you could absolutely make a pom-pom from handspun. If it's yarn, you can make the pom-pom from it. So there's no problem there. Is it a waste of handspun? I think that is a personal decision. Would having a handspun pom-pom, like the pom-pom made from your handspun yarn, make you happy? If it will, then it's absolutely not a waste. If it makes you happy, then it's the perfect choice. I would not hesitate to make a pom-pom out of handspun if I thought that that would make the perfect pom-pom for that project. It's really noisy outside right now, sorry. Yeah. If it's the right choice, then do it. There's no, I don't think it's any more of a waste than if you made a pom-pom out of commercial yarn that you really liked. I mean, granted, you can buy more commercial yarn probably, but you know, don't be afraid to use your handspun. I will say that is something that I have been not struggling with, but recognizing over the last couple of weeks, like when I moved my stash up here. I've got a lot of handspun yarn, and I kind of fell into the trap early on, not really the trap, but like when I first started spinning, I mean, my first handspun was nothing to brag about. It was kind of gross and ugly, so I didn't use it. But then as I got a little bit better, I did knit things from my handspun initially. But then over time, I was spinning a lot of it, and I wasn't knitting from it. And that's sad, because handspun, we put so much time into it to make it to begin with. It's special yarn. I mean, it's definitely, you know, I'll use the term soulful stash. That's maybe a little bit different than it's used in other podcasts, because they're often talking about, you know, the origin of the fiber and the yarn. And this isn't so much from that aspect, but I would consider it soulful stash because you've put a piece of yourself into the making of that yarn. And so, you know, in a way, it's fun to see a whole shelf of your handspun because you can look at it and say, wow, look what I made. But on the other hand, yarn is meant to be used. It's meant to have a purpose, no matter whether it's handspun or not. So when we just sit there and let it collect, which I'm sure most of us do, I mean, I know I do, I've got a huge stash, but you know, as I've been spinning a lot this past week, and how many times can I say that? No, as I was putting my stash into the cubbies up here and going through both my handspun and my fiber stash and just realizing how much of it I have, it's like, why am I not using this? Why am I letting all of this beautiful handspun yarn? And so it's not perfect. I'm not a meticulous spinner by any stretch of the imagination. I do okay though, and my yarn is usable. Why am I not using it? I don't know why I'm not using it more. In fact, it's funny, this morning I actually went into my stash room and I was going to go through handspun because I think I'm going to make a pair of mitts out of some handspun, which I've used handspun for that before, and handspun for mitts is very nice because it's often dense. You can knit it up kind of densely. But all of my patterns that I would want to use are still back at my house because my books aren't here yet. So, but that's probably going to be on the docket for me soon. Anyway, in short, I would say please use your handspun for your pom-pom. If that would make you happy and look right, then absolutely use it. I would not hesitate at all. You can always spin more, and once you spin that, then you can make something else awesome with it. As far as would a specific type of handspun work better than another for a pom-pom, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with that, to tell you the truth, but my hunch is that like a singles yarn would work great because it would make a really fluffy pom-pom. I think a 2-ply or a traditional 3-ply would also work fine. The only one I would hesitate maybe is on a chain ply, only because of the construction of the chain ply. You end up with those little loops. And so I think you might, as you're cutting the yarn for the pom-pom, if you're cutting through the loops, it may, I don't know that it would fall apart. It probably wouldn't because you're tying your pom-pom in the center. I don't know. If you cut through those loops, I think you might just end up with little squiggly bits that could stick out, but I don't know that's a big deal. It's a pom-pom. So I'm going to say it probably does not matter what kind of handspun you use for a pom-pom. Go for it. And, if you learn that a chain ply doesn't work super well, let us know. But, yeah, I would definitely go for it as far as making a pom-pom out of handspun. And please share a picture when you're done. I would love to see it. So, and maybe I will have to knit a hat and do a handspun pom-pom now that you've planted that idea in my mind. I love a good pom-pom. Okay, new things. I actually don't have anything new to show you this week, but I just wanted to do a follow-up of what I mentioned last week, was the fact that I needed to get a ball winder for up here at the mountain house. And I did get some suggestions from you guys, so thank you so much for that. I ended up discussing it with my husband because I was kind of having option paralysis of all the different options. And after we talked about it, we both decided that the best option would be to get another Nancy's Knit Knacks heavy-duty ball winder with the power base. Not because I necessarily need it right this minute here. I mean, it's definitely a nice ball winder. It's an expensive ball winder, but eventually, when I'm going to be doing all of my own ball winding, because once I sell my house, and I will not have Bonnie, my designated ball winder, anymore because she's not going to travel the hour up here to wind balls for me. Totally understandable. But once I'm doing that myself, Bill's rationale was I could set up 2 winding stations and be winding twice as much yarn in the same amount of time, which makes perfect sense. And it is a business investment. And if at some point I find that having 2 ball winders is overkill and I don't need them, I know that I could easily sell one of them, because the Nancy's Knacks ball winders are very hard to find used. You don't see them very often because that's one of those things that when somebody buys one, they keep it. It's like an investment that you keep. And so I think if I did need to sell it, I probably would not have any problem finding a buyer for it. But so that's what I did. I ordered one. It will be arriving after we get back from vacation. I asked them to hold on shipping on it. I also ordered another Swift, a tabletop, the horizontal Swift. They're sometimes called Amish Swifts. I know that would have been super easy to make one, and either Bill or I could have done that on our own. It's more of a time issue and a space issue right now of where we could work to do that because everything is in such disarray. And frankly, you know, people who sell them on Etsy, the one that I have now, I bought at a show from a vendor, but I could not actually find that vendor again. So I was on Etsy and I was looking, and I figure, you know, there are people who are making these and that's their income. And I'm happy to support makers in that way. So I did order one from a seller he's out in California. And his is a little bit different. I mean, the basic construction of it's the same. With one exception, and I'll probably tell you a little bit more about that after I get it. Maybe I'll show it to you. But it looks like it's very well made. It was reasonably priced, and he was very nice to communicate with because I had to message him back and forth a couple times asking him questions. So I was happy to purchase that from him. And again, that will be coming after we get back from vacation as well. So new things for my business, which is always a good thing because that means there's growth going on, and that's always happy. Let's move on to 10% though. A kitten update. I would pause and get her, but she pretty much looks the same as she did last week. And I've been watching her at the corner of my eye over here at the French doors. She is like bouncing all over the place. She's hyper. She's a kitten. Sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. Yeah, she's doing great. It was funny. I ended up taking both her and one of our other cats to the vet just for checkups. Obviously, he was due, the other cat was due, and she just needed to be checked out and, you know, get shots and whatnot. She was cute there. The one problem that she's got, like I told you, she had injuries when we found her, and the one injury was to her one ear. Her right ear had been lacerated. I don't know if by a claw, somebody clawed her or what. But it had gotten really, I thought it was healing when we first had her the first couple days, but then I think it was the second day we had her maybe, or maybe the third, I don't even remember now. I know it was after I recorded though. She, it was looking real red, and it kind of looked like the skin where it had been lacerated was kind of peeling off or something. I know, I'm sorry if this is grossing you out. But I sat her on the counter to take a closer look, and she sat and she started to scratch, and the tip of her ear flew off. Not a huge tip, but like the last eighth of an inch maybe, or maybe a little bit more than that, 3/8 of an inch, I don't know. It went boing. I'm like, this is bad. Like, cats should not be losing body parts or even parts of body parts. And so obviously whatever injury she had sustained had done damage to that tissue, and it died off, and okay, so fine. So we started putting like polysporin on it to try to keep it from getting infected, because it still didn't look infected or anything. It was just red and angry, and so we were doing that, and just over the days it just didn't seem like it was healing super well, and so I was concerned about that. So I should, and the vet was not at all concerned about it. She's like, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So yeah, she's a healthy little thing. She was up to 2 pounds, 12 ounces at the vet's. I had weighed her a few days earlier. She was 2 pounds, 6 ounces. So they're guesstimating that she's probably close to 12 weeks because kittens tend to gain about 1 pound a month. So anyway, she's doing good. She's goofy. If you want to see kitten pictures, just look at my personal Instagram feed, because I've been proud cat mommy, kitten mommy. Oh my goodness. Anyway, she's doing well. The only other 10% thing I have is vacation is coming up. Yay! We are leaving, well, my vacation is officially starting Friday, although that's been sort of thwarted in certain ways, but we're leaving Saturday. We'll be stopping to see my daughter on the way down, and then we're going to be spending 2 days, Sunday and Monday, in Congaree National Park, where we will be canoeing and hopefully getting to watch the solar eclipse from there. They're calling for cloudy skies on Monday at this point though, so I don't know how that's going to work out. Hopefully we'll get to see some part of it anyway. because my husband really, really wants to see this. I mean, I think it'll be cool, but he's like super into this, and I think he's going to be really disappointed if it doesn't work out. So, and we were originally supposed to go to Kentucky to see it, and so I'm thinking, great, if it's great in Kentucky and he would have been able to see it perfectly, and then we're in South Carolina instead and we can't see it, he's going to be not happy with me because South Carolina was my idea. Oh well, it'll be fine. Anyway, so we're going to do that. And Sunday is actually our anniversary, our 1-year anniversary. So we will be celebrating that by paddling a canoe through a swamp, which is pretty much how we celebrated our honeymoon last year because we paddled in Okefenokee Swamp. So we have a thing about swamps. I'm not sure what that means. Then we're going to be heading down to Florida to be with my mom. For a few days before coming back up, and we're hoping to get to stop and see my grandson on the way home. We'll see my daughter again because she's kind of our stopping place. We can stay at her apartment now, and then we'll be home the following Sunday. So it's going to be a busy vacation. I'm not quite excited about it yet. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, but like the travel and the getting ready, because I was planning to do my packing on Friday, but now I can't because I actually have to be out towards my house because I have some appointments I have to go to on Friday. So I have to do my packing like now. It's probably what I'll do later today. I'll work on packing and tomorrow morning. So anyway, it'll be fine. We'll have a nice time, I'm sure. So that's that. As far as shop news, I will be shipping the Legends, Myths, and Fairy Tales Club after I get back. There's a few days left in the month, and I ship within the last 7 days of the month. Everything is dyed. I'll probably be working on rescanning it later today. But I'll be finishing it up and packaging and getting the letter written and everything once I get back. So it'll ship out in those last few days of the month. So you can be looking forward to that. And the Summertime Cal is still going on. It's the final month of that. It's the Speckles and Sock Blank month. So again, when I record next time, it'll probably be in those last few days of the month. So I won't be announcing the final winner for August and the final grand prize winners until after the 1st of September. So in 2 podcasts, that'll be going on. And just to let you know, I think I mentioned this when I did the shop update video this weekend, but I will be closing the shop while we're away on vacation. So it's going to be closed from Friday the 18th through Sunday the 27th. So as long as orders come in, anything that's ordered by Thursday, like 11:59 p.m. Thursday, anything that's ordered by then, that will get shipped out before I leave. But I will be closing the shop early Friday, and it'll remain closed until we get back. And then I'll open it probably by 9 a.m. that Monday because I'm usually pretty good about getting things going again. So that's everything. It's been a good week, and in some ways, obviously, in national news, not so much. But for me, personally, I've had a good week. I've worked up here. I didn't mention that. Like, this has been a week where I've not been home since Sunday. So I've been up here all week long. It's been a little bit bizarre. I'm still not used to that, not having to drive, but, it's nice. I'm not missing all that extra driving. I'm missing not getting to see my son quite as much, but, we text, so we're still in touch. But anyway, all right, that's everything. I hope you have a good rest of your week. And until I talk to you next time, which is, again, going to be over a week, probably close to 2 weeks, just take care. Take care of yourself. Don't let the world get you down, okay? That's what our knitting and our spinning and all these happy podcasts, that's what that's for, to help us stay in touch with the good, and to be the good. That's what we need to focus on. So anyway, have a good time until the next time I get to talk to you. I will probably be posting on Instagram and stuff while I'm away, so if you want to stay caught up with me, that's my private Instagram account, the Fiber Nymph account. Otherwise, I'll see you when I get back. Bye.